Welcome to Catalyst, a program about people, ideas, issues, and conversations around them.
Welcome to Catalyst. I'm Doug Webster, your host of the STEM education series, A Renewed Culture of Innovation. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. This series was developed to discuss key issues around strengthening STEM education capacity, both here in Vermont and elsewhere in the United States. Today's episode is The Changing World of Patenting. What should people know? My guest today is Tom Ference. Now, Tom is a registered patent agent with the United States Patent and Trademark Office and sole member of Vermont Patent Agent, LLC. Tom is also president of Invent Vermont, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to educate and network entrepreneurs. Now, Tom is not here to provide any legal advice, and the information contained is only for educational purposes. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you for having me here today.
Great. What is intellectual property?
Intellectual property, if you take sort of a dictionary definition, it's the sum of what is perceived, discovered, or learned. That's the intellectual part. And property is something you have possession or control over. So basically, it's something that you've created and that you want to in some way control that information or what you've developed.
Okay. Now, in what ways can one protect intellectual property?
There's several different types of intellectual properties, basically 4 types. There's patents, there's trademarks, there's copyrights, and trade secrets. I'll just quickly go through what those 4 are. A patent is the right to exclude others from making, using, offering for sale, selling, or importing your invention into the United States for a period of time. Trademarks are any word, name, symbol, or device in combination used or intended to be used in commerce to identify and distinguish the goods of one manufacturer or seller from goods manufactured and sold by others. Copyrights are protection offered to authors of original works of authorship, including literary, dramatic, musical, artistic, etc. And then lastly, trade secrets are formula, practice, process, design, instrument, pattern, or compilation of information which is not generally known to others, by which a business can obtain an economic advantage over its competitors. So these things include a wide range of things from, say the recipe that a baker might have that he wants to keep, to himself. It could be, let's see what other things. An artist's music. It could be software. It could be an invention that an engineer has come up with. So intellectual property really covers a wide range of things that you might want to protect so that you have an advantage over other people in the marketplace.
Okay. Now, you're a patent agent.
I'm a patent agent, yes.
Now, what's the difference between a patent agent and a patent attorney?
And a patent attorney. Patent agent and patent attorney, we both can basically do patent law in the Department of Commerce. We both had to take the same patent bar exam. To either become a patent agent or a patent attorney, you actually have to have a 4-year technical degree. There's certain things that a patent agent cannot do which constitute practicing law. Things like writing contracts, representing people in court and stuff like that. But pretty much anything that you can do within the body of patent law, which resides in the Department of Commerce, the Patent Office looks at patent attorneys and patent agents as basically having the same qualifications.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, why do we have patent laws? Can you describe them a little bit more?
Well, it's basically, patent law resides in the Department of Commerce, and therefore the reason that we have patents is to sort of stimulate actually economic growth. And you might think, well, how's that? But basically, if you couldn't protect something that you wanted to do, you might hide it and not tell the public how you actually made something or whatever. And so what patent laws do is they want you to actually put your ideas out in the public so that people can see what you're working on and improve upon them. And therefore, that is expected to make innovation occur quicker. But for doing that, you're given the right to exclude other people for a time frame of usually, for utility patents, of 20 years from the date of filing for your patent application. Mm-hmm. And so getting that out there, so say the first person who came up with a transistor, which now, solid-state transistor, which now all electronics is based off of, by getting that out there, not keeping it close at hand and not letting people know about it, really let people invent and improve upon it and have commerce actually develop more quickly.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. Now, can you give a brief outline of the patent process?
The patent process is rather complex. It's long and time-consuming. Usually when a client comes to me, I'll tell them the first thing they should do is a search, because most people, everybody thinks they have a great idea. They haven't seen it out there, but there's a good chance that it's already been patented or in some form or other out there. And so you really should search, and you can search on the internet. You can also do a search through the United States Patent and Trademark Office. I'd say 9 out of 10 people who search for their idea, they end up finding that something very similar to it's been done. If you haven't, I encourage people to get a professional search, which searches by class and subclass, because people describe different things in patents differently. And then then from there, we'd go on, and there's options of, you can file something called a provisional patent application or a non-provisional patent application. A provisional patent application gives you sort of a date in the patent office of which you've come up, has a description of your invention, but it will never be examined, and it's only good for a year. And then if you want to do more with it, you have to turn it into or file a non-provisional based on it. The non-provisional is what actually can get examined in the patent office and turn into a patent. However, the provisional can be less expensive. It doesn't require as much of a fee up front because it's not going to get examined. You don't have to have all the formalities of really nice professional drawings and all the claims and things associated with the patent. But that first process of writing the patent could potentially, be 1 to 3 months of getting that done. And then after that, it will pretty much sit in the patent office, which is what really people find hard to understand as to why this thing sits in the patent office for 2 years before anybody does sort of anything with it. It will get published so that people can see it unless you request not to. And then after about 2 years, an examiner will come back to you, will usually almost always challenge what you're trying to claim in your patent. The claims are the things at the end of the patent that say, this is what I want to stop other people from doing. And so they'll bring, the examiner will bring prior art in, other patents, and basically you'll go back and forth, and then you'll determine what you should get as a patent. And this process can take usually 3 or 4 years to get a patent, which is a very long time.
So how much of that time is it sitting in the patent office, and why is it sitting in the patent office?
It's 3 or 4 years it's sitting in the patent office. Yeah. And basically right now there's a huge backlog in the patent office. I think of about 700,000 patent applications that are waiting to be examined. And it just takes a lot of time to go through it. And the patent office has been trying to improve upon that time frame because many people feel that, in down economic times, if we could get all those people their inventions and patents in hand, that they could then go out and start businesses and do things more quickly. Right. So there's been some motivation in the past few years to try to make that happen, that whole process happen faster.
Yes. Now, what are the costs associated with getting a patent?
There's about, if you just take the fees with the patent office itself, it's probably around, there's a filing fee, there can be excess claim fees, there's issue fees, publication fees. Mm-hmm. But as a minimum, I'd say around $1,500, and that would be if you did all of the work yourself. However, if you actually were to request the services of a patent agent or a patent attorney, it can become much more expensive. And there's fees for the artwork, there's fees for the search, there's fees that the attorneys and agents charge, and those fees can be extremely expensive, I think, for most people. Patent agents to patent attorneys can be $100 to $400 an hour. Mm-hmm. And by the time you're done, you're usually spending, I'd say to get a patent, minimum of $10,000, and I've heard of people having to spend all the way up to like $40,000 to get a patent.
Right, okay. Now, what are some things that people should do so as not to limit their rights to get a patent?
Well, one of the things is patent law, or at least I think of it this way, is most laws are based on, in the judicial system, are you hurting someone? And that's sort of intuitive. But I don't think patent law is that intuitive, and there's a lot of things that you can do that can actually prohibit you from getting a patent to issue. One of those is disclosure of your idea. And there's basically 4 things. There's public disclosure, where you just were out describing it or something to someone. There's an offer for sale to sell it to someone. There's a publication that you could do, or you can just have public use. Say you had an invention for a car and you're out riding around with it for a period of time. Turns out that all of those things start, on the day you start doing them, starts what's called a patent bar, and you have 1 year in the United States from doing those public things in which to still file for a patent application, or you will not be allowed to get a patent application if you go beyond that. And that's basically to have people so that they didn't have something for 10 years out there, and then they saw it take off, and then 10 years later they're like, oh, I'm gonna get a patent on it, and just cause problems for other people that might be wanting to do the same thing. For foreign applications, many of your rights are lost as soon as you make things public. So you really have to watch that, and that includes friends, family. I know I work a lot with independent inventors, and if they have, they want to talk about their idea with someone, but if they start talking about it to pretty much anyone, outside of a patent agent and a patent attorney, you don't have to have any sort of confidentiality agreement with them. But really with everyone else, you should have what's called a confidential disclosure agreement or a non-disclosure agreement in place, and that at least keeps that confidentiality. And so you could, for years, be working on developing something and then go off and patent it. And most businesses already have those types of things in place with their employees, so that, when I used to work at IBM and we had 8,000 employees, and I could have spoken with actually all 8,000, or actually company-wide they had like 150,000. I could speak with anyone, and that was still considered confidential. But for the independent inventor, it's a tough thing, because you're out there and you really want to talk to somebody about what you're doing.
Right, and that's a fairly simple form, isn't it? Right.
It is. You can find some online. Again, it's good to go to a lawyer or something and get a contract like that, but it's usually just a 1 to 3 page document.
Right, good. Now, on a more global scale, in what ways does patenting help or hinder our ability to compete?
Well, for small businesses, I think it's absolutely critical to have, and not in all cases, but if you have a really good idea and you don't want someone, bigger businesses have tons of resources, and they can come in, and if you've got a great idea, they can just, you know, take that idea and start manufacturing it and selling it. And for you as an independent inventor or a small business, that could be very hard for you to get all those resources. You might need to get financing in place and stuff. And so by having a patent, the patent offers exclusionary rights. So it doesn't really give you the right to do anything, but it gives you the right to stop others from doing something. So for those 20 years, you could kind of put those other people that might want to do what you're trying to do at bay, and then you can basically develop a business around it. The downside is you might find something that's already out there patented, in which case you as a small business, if you're trying to do that, you're pretty much, that's it, you're done. Now bigger businesses, they might not go out of business if there's something out there that's patented, but it can hinder them. But it's good too. I mean, there's many cases where new products come out and they want that competitive advantage as well. And in the businesses where there's, you know, sometimes they have people, one of the downsides is they can have people that will come and try to claim that they're doing something that they have in a patent, some smaller business, and then there can be, you know, legal action taken, and that can bog down the big businesses in terms of getting in litigation and stuff. So there's good and bad sides to both of it, but overall, say in the world, you know, say you have a product that you want to do, and one of the things about the patent is it has to do with, you know, protecting people from importing things. So say you have something made quickly and cheaply in China, it actually gives you the right to stop them from importing that into the U.S. And that's a huge thing because that also gives you sort of a competitive advantage. Okay. So that's really what you're getting with the intellectual property.
Right. Now, the patent process was, can you give us a little history of it? Was it developed many years ago?
Well, it's actually written into our U.S. Constitution. I don't know what article it is right now, but it's basically written right into the Constitution, and that our founding fathers saw that there was a great value to having people be able to protect their ideas and the things that they were developing, so that they had the right to go off and then practice that.
Now, do you think the process is as efficient as it can be, or are there improvements that could be made?
It's a very long process, and a lot of times the individual inventor, if they were to go off by themselves, before I'd said that it's kind of not intuitive what patent law is. And so there's a lot of places along the way that you can make mistakes, like who really would know there's these 1-year bars, and there's a lot of more things like that. So it's good to, that's why a lot of people go to patent agents and attorneys to get that extra help that they need. There's the whole patent office, again, there's this new patent legislation that they've been looking into to try over the past 4 or 5 years to change things because they want to speed things up. And there's some very good parts of it. One part is right now that the government actually dictates what the patent office charges and what they do with their money, so they don't have control over their own budget. And so they may bring money in, but the Congress can take that money and siphon it off and use it for other things, which they are doing. And many people feel that, you know, if you want to make the patent office work more efficiently and get things out quicker, you should allow them to raise their own funds, decide how they're going to use it, and that sort of thing. So that's one thing that they're looking to change. There's a bunch of other things that they're looking that could potentially speed up the process or put less burden on different parties within that whole patent reform process.
Okay, great. Yeah. Great. Now, when it comes to education, I'm talking about secondary education, college, and so forth. What should take place when it comes to delivering patent information to students?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've worked with some high school students recently, sort of as a mentor, and I was surprised how many didn't even know what a patent was. And the thing is, a patent, there's actually no age limit. You could be a 10-year-old that comes up with a great idea, and you have the right to go off and patent that idea. And because the laws are not really, at least to me, I don't think that they're very intuitive. I think it's important for us to educate students starting in secondary, even primary school, if they're getting into innovation fairs and things, that they should know, what a patent is, and that it's not only patents. There's the copyrights, the trademarks, trade secrets, all of that sort of stuff, and knowing some of the things like you've got to keep your idea confidential, because if you just go out there and start telling everybody, you actually can lose the right to it. So I think starting earlier on, but definitely by secondary education, high school,
yeah.
and in college for sure, that we should be teaching our innovators what they need to do to protect that information.
Where in what discipline do you think would apply? Business, engineering?
Business, well, those are the two. I think business and sort of sciences. And one of the best places might be, I know a lot of schools have innovation fairs, science fairs, or they have projects that they work on, and that would be a good time to teach them about that sort of stuff. And then in business as well, I think if you ever take a business class, it would be good to learn that you have ways of protecting. It's not always a patent. It could be the copyrights, the trademarks, those type of things that can make a big difference.
Right. Now, can you give us an idea how many patents are issued in Vermont, for example, versus the United States?
In the United States, it's I think last year was a record, and it was about 200,000 patents that issued. They have a backlog of 700,000. In Vermont, it's 650, which doesn't sound like very much, but you have to realize that Vermont is a very small state, and so it's about 1 in every 1,000, I think roughly about that, people that is getting a patent. And nationwide, it turns out it's more like 1 out of every 2,000. So we patent quite a bit more in Vermont than we do in other states per capita. Some of that might be due to some of the high-tech businesses that exist, like IBM does a lot of patents. The company as alone had almost 6,000 patents last year.
Wow, yeah, great. Now, are there areas that Vermont, can you distinguish between the different areas that are patent? Like biotechnology versus
I don't
mechanical,
know
electrical.
what areas there's the most amount of patents in. I don't know how it's broken down that well, but yeah, it ranges. There's a broad range of different things that people can patent.
Now, what about the trend? Is it going up or is it going down? Is it staying steady?
It's definitely going up. They have more every year. There was just a mild sort of, maybe not even dip during the worst of the recession, but pretty much it's been going up, and which has been a problem for the Patent Office because their budget has not been going up, and they have more patents coming in, and they're trying to get more of them out.
Yeah, right. Now, where can people get more information?
There's quite a few resources out there. The first one I'd say to everyone is the United States Patent and Trademark Office, which is www.uspto.gov. If you go to their website, they describe all sorts of aspects of getting a patent, trademarking. They have links to how to copyright things and stuff like that. That's probably the best source. Locally, as you said before, I'm president of a group called Invent Vermont. We have a website, and there we have listed a bunch of resources, and we try to list a lot of local resources there as well that you could go to. And there's many businesses and other groups within the state that have resources that can help you with intellectual property, patenting, or even bringing your idea forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to add?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Well, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, really
Thank
do.
you.
And thank you for joining us.